So this is my Mr. Long Arm. I got it from Home Depot. It was less than 50 bucks for the Mr. Long Arm and the paint roller adapter thing on the end of it, which works as a great hook, except that I didn't use it because I needed more long arm. And I couldn't believe the quality of this thing. I really abused it for 2 days trying to get it out. When it didn't work, when it wasn't long enough the first day, I went back with more bamboo sticks to tape to the end of it and get it out of the tree. So I actually called the company and I asked them, why don't you make a longer version of the Mr. Long Arm? Because I know it can support more. Because I personally have friends that have taped 3 of these things together to get a quad 60 feet up in the air out of a tree. And they said, we definitely could, except for the fact that it's really difficult to control when it's so long, and you might run into power lines, which I guess is a legitimate concern. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking for another telescoping arm that has this painter's bottom attachment, the paint handle attachment, to just screw onto the end of the Mr. Long Arm, so I can get hopefully maybe like another 15 feet, because, you know, we get quads stuck higher than 23 feet. That's how long this arm is right now. And if anybody knows any products that are like relatively cheap that could screw onto the end of this, it would be a great addition, and it would be a fantastic quad retrieval tool. I was actually going to return this, but I'm going to keep it because it's so freaking awesome, and it's just, I've already used it for 4 different things just having it around. This is really going to be more of kind of like a news segment than anything else. Let's go over some props. So the Dahl 5051 C or T5051C. This is the new Cyclone blade from Dahl. It's 3.3 grams. This immediately when I flew it, I thought it was incredible, and it has become my go-to prop for pretty much everything. Its performance is head over heels better than its response, and control performance is head over heels better than any other prop that I have flown. Unfortunately, it's not as durable as a Cyclone or as durable as any other super heavy prop, but it's just the feel of this prop is incredible. So I love it tremendously. I know that there's some new props coming, and I hope those are good too, but this prop is incredible. It's become my go-to prop. Another thing, a prop manufacturer asked me to run a little survey and ask you guys, I respect all these prop manufacturers. I've worked with a lot of them already, and so I want to do this survey for them. If you wouldn't mind just commenting in the comments below which prop manufacturer is your favorite manufacturer and what the primary reason is that you like that company, I would appreciate it, and this company would appreciate it. It's just their way of doing some minor market research. Now, my audience is relatively small, and not small, but relatively specific, and so they just want to hear what my audience has to say. And that being said, this is a new prop from Gemfan. It's the same as a 5152. It's the same as 5152. They've changed it a little bit. They have tweaked the polycarbonate material slightly, and they've actually reduced the price of this prop to $3.29 a set. And if you buy 5 sets, it's $15. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Yeah, 5 sets is $15, and it's $3.29 per set. And what they did was, it's the same exact prop, same exact weight, nothing's different. This is the old previous version, this is the new version. All they did was tweak it, and they actually made it a little bit stronger. So the old version is a little bit more flexible than the new version. Now, I haven't flown it yet to figure out if it's good or bad. I'm sure it's better. I'm sure it performs pretty much the same, because the previous version, the old version, was already stiff enough to not really flex much in the air. The 5152 is actually a really good prop. I don't know why it's not as popular as I think it should be. It's more efficient than the Cyclone blades, than the high-pitched Cyclone blades, and I think it's faster as well. I can't tell that for sure, but just flying it, I feel like it's faster. At least the acceleration is a little bit faster. The handling on it is great. I don't know why it's not used more. Aside from that, there is a company that has copied the Racecraft 5051. No surprise there. Other companies have done the same. I don't even know what company this is, because it does not have a label on the company, on the packaging at all. And I saw that Terrat has this prop actually in their website, and they sell it as well. But the interesting thing about this prop is that they sell it in a 5-inch, they also sell it in a 4-inch, and they also sell it in a 3-inch. Now, as you probably have learned up until this point, you can't exactly just scale a prop up and down and expect it to work the same. So I'm really interested in testing these props and seeing how they perform compared to the actual Racecraft 3-inch prop, and there is no Racecraft 4-inch prop, at least as far as I know. So I'm really interested to see how it performs compared to the other 4-inch props that we have now. All right, so now let's take a look at motors. My favorite motor at this point is the ZMX 2207.3 millimeters, is what I measured it at. 2600 kV. This is the Emax X30 motor, and this motor is super duper special because there's actual innovation going on in this motor. The bell design has smoothed out the magnetic field, and it performs really, really well. Now, it's not a night and day performance over any other motor that's similar to it, but it performs well enough for me to stick to this motor and not really want to fly all the other motors that I have. The response on this motor is just sharper than every other motor I have. And this is the quad that was stuck in the tree, and I actually broke a motor trying to get it out of the tree. I ripped one of the little tiny wires inside, and so I replaced it with a Emax 2206 motor. And I've also been testing these motors. I previously had these motors on this frame, and I had two of the exact same frame with these motors and the Hyperlight 2207 motors. Same setup, same everything. I only pretty much use the Asgard these days, and this motor has less response than the Hyperlight 2207. Now, if you take a close look at this motor, it's pretty much a duplicate of the Brother Hobby motors, and that's because Emax used to be an OEM manufacturer for Brother Hobby. Now, what that means is that literally some of the motors that you may have that have the Brother Hobby label on it came from Emax. So the reason why this motor looks like a Brother Hobby motor is because they make Brother Hobby motors. So this Emax motor is pretty much a duplicate, except that they changed it minorly, minor ways. The base is a little bit thinner, and the magnets are 0.2 millimeters thicker. Now, I have no idea why they did that, but what that resulted in is what I expected it to have more power, but it doesn't. It actually has less response. And I know people are going to say that how can you tell the response of a motor? But if you fly two quads that are the same quads side by side, you can definitely tell a difference. It's not even like a hard difference, not a slight difference. You can literally like tell immediately right off the bat when you punch the gas and you do a roll, you know exactly which quad you're flying. It's not a subtle difference. These are the two newest ZMX motors which I've gotten, and I think they've discontinued the original black and gunmetal gray bell design, and they have gone with this beautiful nickel-plated design. And I have the X23s also. These are two different X30s. There's the 2600 kV and the 3000 kV. Now, I know it sounds pretty crazy that a 2207 in 3000 kV is a real thing, but their calculations have told them that the motor actually will perform best at 3200 kV. So they just pumped it up to 3000 because they're like, well, let's test and see what it's like. And so they made the 3000 kV version. I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to perform. Maybe it'll be a just crazy amp draw and I'll have to knock down my max throttle just to make it flyable. Maybe it'll have better, sharper control like I like on higher kV motors. I don't know, but it's going to be really interesting to fly these things and see, and the motors are just beautiful. Another thing, this is the Emax 4008 motor, and you're probably wondering why on earth I'm showing you this motor. And the reason is because I'm building an aerial photography platform for some testing of some other things, and I'm going to be using a vector micro in it, which on first impression I wasn't really thrilled about when I opened the box and took a look at it. But yeah, these motors are really surprisingly hard to find. DJI has pretty much monopolized the aerial photography just platform, and people don't really make these motors anymore. So finding decent priced good quality motors in this size is not easy. So I'm going to be building this, and I'll see how it is. It's a 600 kV, and I'm going to be running a 14 by 4.7 inch prop on 6S on it. So I hope it doesn't burn up, although I don't have as much experience with motors of this size and various combinations, so we'll see what happens. This is not the micro, the Runcam Micro Sparrow, but the Sparrow did come out, and I'm just showing you this so I remind myself to talk about the Sparrow. The Sparrow has, I saw some pictures and video from it. Unfortunately, even though it says it has a 2.1 millimeter lens, it is definitely not a 2.1 millimeter field of view. It has a much narrower field of view than the original Runcam Micro, and that's really unfortunate because it is a widescreen camera, it's a CMOS camera, and I like the camera, and I've relayed this information to them that I really hope they can find a wider angle lens. These 2.1 millimeters, 2.8 millimeters, these things don't really mean that much. It's more of a relationship between the sensor size and the lens and what it's made to. So it might actually be a 2.1 millimeter lens, but it's intended for a particular sensor size to be 2.1 millimeters. So once you put it on a sensor that's different, it's no longer 2.1 millimeters. So that's just an unfortunate fact of camera sensors. And now finally a little bit of frame information. So as you may have seen on my Instagram, I have completely abandoned this frame design. Now this is the latest version of this design, and I have tried a number of things to try and manage the vibrations and manage all the issues in this frame. What I did was I curved the arms in a specific manner to try and limit the vibrations. I read a bunch of research studies on about how to manage vibrational issues, and I weakened the arms actually by doing that, but it did not solve the vibration issues. It's still insane. I dropped the arms to try and improve the prop unloading issue with the battery in the center and the camera in the center. Did not help at all. So I have pretty much abandoned this frame. I've given it back to Rich to finish, and I also gave him another concept based on my recent findings on my disc unloading and various other things that I've learned. And this concept was basically just to stack two skinny arms that are 5mm thick and get a 10mm tall, very, very thin arm to have a skinny arm frame. And he did a fantastic job putting this frame together. It looks amazing, and I haven't flown it yet, but I know it will fly well because it doesn't have the flaws of the vertical arm frames. Now vertical arms look attractive and they look great, and you know, you really like this wonderful idea of having this aerodynamic frame, but in reality I haven't found any real benefits with the vertical arms. And if you do want to run a vertical arms, you have to do something to deal with the vibration. So you have to either tie the arms together, or you have to have crossbars like the Carrier frame. And so it's going to get stuck on every single tree if you want to use it as an acro frame, and it's not ideal. It's not the option for me. So I have abandoned that, and especially since you can't turn off your filters, you just can't get the performance out of the quad that you want. So it's just no good to me. I think that the vertical arms that are stacked like on Rich's new frame, on the hyper-low frame, I think that manages the vibrations, because now you can no longer flex in the yaw direction and you have no flex anywhere. On top of that, you still have a super duper duper rigid frame, so you get the benefits of having the rigidity. It's also considered to be a race frame, so the battery is the only thing on the top plate and it's tight in the center, so it shouldn't have as much of an issue with the disc unloading as I have had with this frame. And it's also very narrow, so it's just a very small body, so it should allow for better disc unloading. So what I have done is I've gone back to this frame, which is my previous acro design, and it's a great design. Here I have a version with nothing on it, which I'm actually going to be sending to somebody else very soon. This frame is the best flying frame that I've flown. Hands down, it is, and I didn't even know why when I designed it. So now I have learned a lot of reasons why, and I've redesigned the whole thing, and the new version that's coming should be a little bit better, and it's going to be around 86 grams with nothing on it, just 86 grams, all the hardware and everything built, which I think is a really good weight for an acro frame. It's really hard to get below 90 grams on an acro frame that will support a 600 gram load. So I'm really proud of that number being under 90 grams, and I'm gonna be very excited to build that frame, specifically with these new high kV motors that I got. And so the last thing I'm going to show is this frame here. This is the new 20 by 20 millimeter mount frame that I've been working on, and I've had a couple prototypes already. This is one of the prototypes. I have tested it on 3-inch, I've tested it on 4-inch, the 20 by 20 mount 4-in-1 ESCs, and these things are getting pretty darn crazy, and I personally think that 20 by 20 mount is definitely the future for 5-inch as well. I do know of a couple of 20 by 20 mount 4-in-1s and just whole stacks that are coming from a couple of companies that are just freaking insanely good, amazing. One of them has a new processor on it that I don't know why all of these boards aren't using already. It's just amazing what's coming, and definitely I see the future as being 20 by 20. I may be completely wrong, but if anybody's designing a frame, definitely put the 20 by 20 mounting option in there. This frame will only take 20 by 20. It has a super small body. As you can see here, the arms are connected in the front and the back. So the reason why the center body is so tiny is because it no longer needs to support any real load. I mean, it's a very slim chance that you're going to crack the frame down the middle. When you do crash, the arm is going to take all of the load, all of the hit, all the damage. So if you do break an arm, you can still just swap it out. And now this frame with this super tiny body and the super minimized hardware is 45 grams. You have a full 5-inch frame, 45 grams. You can, as you see here, you can put the battery on top. The final version will also have the option of putting the battery sideways, toilet tank style, and you can also put the battery on the bottom. Now, putting it on the bottom is going to be a little bit more of a challenge because you got all these screw holes and standoffs in the way, so weaving the strap through is going to be a little bit more complicated, but you can definitely put it on the bottom as well. And just to show you a comparison between this frame and the previous Floss 2 frame, you can see here's how much smaller the body is. It's significantly smaller, and it's significantly smaller. Of course, the Floss 2 is going to be more of a workhorse frame. I didn't really intend this tiny design to be the race option or like the super race frame, because honestly, you don't really need a race. I personally don't really feel much benefit to a racer below 250 grams, but this frame will allow you to get a build under 200 grams with 2206 motors. This is just stupid number, but I don't even know how it's going to perform, because I've had some recent problems with this one. I haven't been able to actually fly it properly yet, and that's why the 5-inch is going to be held back a little bit. The 3-inch and the 2-inch and the 2.5-inch are going to be coming very, very soon, and the 4-inch are going to wait for a little bit, because I mean, the 4-inch already works fine. I've already tested that, but 5-inch is going to wait a little bit. I am having some minor vibration issues with this, probably because I did a really crappy job of building the stack in there. But I'm gonna, well, a couple of people are already building the 5-inch to try and see if it is persistent in other builds as well. But it will come in the near future when the new 4-in-1s and systems come out. Yeah, I think that's it. I think you should all go and floss right now. Run to the bathroom and get your floss. Floss, do it right now.